Greetings, listeners! This is August 2019, and welcome to Underground Book Club, where we discuss free, self-published books that we uncover in the depths of the internet. I'm Jake.
I don't know what's going on.
Alright, I'm Chris.
I'm Jake, thank you very much. Today, we're going to be discussing two books. First, we'll have a small segment where we discuss Beyond Seduction, Deceit, Betrayal by Kiki Rajki. And then our main topic will cover Into the Other by Livian Gray, whose name I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing right.
Hang on. I have a pronunciation guide for Kixie.
Oh, great.
The author of Beyond Seduction, Deceit, Betrayal, it is pronounced Kixie Reiki.
Alright. Gotcha.
These books are going to serve as examples for a specific topic that all authors, writers, and consumers even should ask themselves. What makes a piece of fiction interesting? What compels a reader to keep turning the pages? What does a piece of fiction...
How does a piece of fiction bore somebody? And what can you do to spice up your work and truly engage your audience?
I think this is a little bit touchy.
Touchy?
Because every person in the world is going to be entertained
Oh, absolutely.
and bored by different things.
Yeah, it's all subjective, but these are very general guidelines on what maybe to avoid and what you could do to help things out. So rather than having like a 30% chance to interest your audience, you have more like a 60% chance to interest your audience.
Maybe we only are trying to say, these are things you might want to be aware of.
Be aware of, yeah. Keep these in mind. These have worked in the past, these have not. How to make your book more interesting 101.
Is our first topic in how to make your book more interesting, put a man's torso on the cover?
I'm getting to that.
A lot of authors write in order to put food on the table. That's why they don't want to take massive risks and make something that they aren't sure will sell or not.
Right.
So they write to sell. I think anybody who loves writing would love to write to sell.
Well, yeah. I mean, anyone who wants to do art for a living
you
wants
want
to be able
people
to
to buy your stuff. But what is an extreme tactic that an author might employ to make their book more interesting, especially if they're not a big name author?
Right.
Men's chests.
Oh yeah. Just if you really want to sell, if you want to sell your book, you want the audience to know right away what it's about, what they're buying. Just put a big man's chest on the cover. Your audience will know immediately what kind of book you're selling and who your target demographic is. Just boom, right off the bat. Chris, without getting into too much detail, please describe your experience with men's chests.
As they pertain to
the
books,
yes.
right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so, well, here's the thing. Romance novels, sexy books, used to have different covers. They used to have, there'd always be a swooning woman on the front, and she'd be in the embrace of a dude, and he'd be dark and swarthy and dangerous looking.
A Conan the Barbarian type?
Sort of. It depends on what genre, what era it was written in. But that has changed. They put a man's torso from the neck down to the bottom of the abs, where you might be able to see that little hip muscle that guys get.
The little pelvic muscle.
If they're super buff and ripped.
Like crazy ripped.
Alright, so these are crazy ripped guys. I don't even think they're real people. I think they are photoshopped male models. Because some of these guys have pectorals that don't exist in nature. But anyway, the reason why they do that, and I actually discussed this with my group of romance writers that I was trapped into for a while. So you can picture the face as whatever you want, and then that's your perfect man.
So you're saying they only show it from the neck down so that you can imagine the rest.
You can imagine the rest
head
yourself.
And the hair.
You put your own face.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You can imagine the guy is any man. You can, if you want, put your boyfriend or husband's face on there.
You know, and people give video game ladies a lot of crap, but at least with most video game ladies, you can see their whole head and their face and everything.
Yeah, it is kind of like a reverse sexism thing. I don't think anybody would be real happy if they started putting like
book covers out
book covers with just women's chests on them.
Yeah.
It tells you quick and dirty, this is a romance novel.
Well, the reason I really I thought to even bring this up in the first place is because when we're looking for books to talk about for our show in the depths of the internet, as I'm supposed to say, then
sorry,
it's okay, we're good. It's all good. We came across a lot of book covers, and of course we came across a lot of men's chests.
Men's chests are everywhere. The one we referenced last time was called Rescued by Bears, and I didn't mean to imply that that wasn't a legit book. It's actually a book series about werebears, and I know that sounds like I'm joking, but it is, and I think, from what I've read, that people like it and it sells pretty well.
A woman was rescued by bears. Literal bears, but also,
No, they were werebears.
Werebears, okay. Oh my god. Right.
Okay, look, the point is it's a legit book, and
right.
But it did have a big old man's chest on the cover.
Well, now I want to talk about your example of a man's chest.
Right, yes, all right. So I had the book, and they were going to publish it.
They were going to publish your book.
They were going to publish my book. I had an agent, I had a publisher in line to go, and the publishing company suddenly, and it's a long story, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. The publishing company decided to switch up genres on me.
Oh, no.
And I had written what basically you would call chick lit. For you uninitiated, that's short for chick literature. It's like The Devil Wears Prada, chick lit. They decided it was going to, be a romance novel. Well, it really didn't fit in the genre. But they're like, it will now. We're going to put a man's chest on the cover. They did, and it really was just... It was just the worst cover.
Take a look at this cadaver on the front.
Admittedly, he's very pale.
Holy crap, this guy.
I'm imagining people looking at this being like, what's the deal with the woman with her arms full of paper? You guys, this is a chick lit. It's a comedy about working in an office. There's no... This guy who's on the cover, there's a romance in the book, but this isn't him.
This isn't about a romance.
It's not. All right. So anyway, that cover.
I bet you must have been so pissed.
I was. Well, are we going to show a picture of the original cover they made for me? Because that's the cover I'm using now.
I love this cover.
All right, so this is what...
When you saw that cover, you lit up. You were just like, oh my god, this is so cool.
I thought it was adorable.
Yes.
I just thought it was perfect, and I thought the artist... I sent an email to the artist saying, what a great job you did.
Seriously,
the tone of this cover is so nice. And then
this happened.
All right, so... in this line, because this isn't all about me, I would like to say that people, just because there is a man's chest on a book cover, doesn't mean the author put it there.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of news for you. Authors, unless you're Stephen Flippin' King, have very little control over what goes on the cover of their book.
Yeah.
It is all in the marketing department.
Unless, of course, you self-publish and you buy a cover.
When you self-publish,
that's right.
it's all up
it's
to
all
you.
Up to you, yes.
So now my crappy covers are all my fault. Wouldn't it be strange to pick up a book with a big old naked man's torso and open it up and it be like a Russian Cold War espionage book?
So we're not saying you as an author should do this to your cover, obviously.
Well, if you want to make it clear that it's a romance novel, put a freaking man's chest on it.
Let's now get into some text. What can text do to make itself more interesting? How do you make people be interested in your book if you don't know what the hell people are going to find interesting?
All right, well, I think you have to write what you love. And you have to find your own book interesting first.
So if you have an interest in it, then hopefully someone else will.
At least you'll be talking to, like, if you're interested in the subject, you'll be talking to an audience who maybe is like the niche you're looking for.
They might share that interest. Okay, so you got to be passionate about your work.
And love what you're writing. In an area this subjective, you're never going to please everybody, so that's number one, is don't try to please everybody. A distinct example of a book that is trying way too hard
to be interesting,
to be compelling and interesting, and stumbling is beyond seduction, deceit, betrayal. Listen to that title. Even the title is trying too hard. It's by Kixie Reiki.
Kixie Reiki, right.
And we felt it was unreadable. I will be fair. I'm going to be fair. I swear to God, in just a minute. We could not get past like the first 4 pages.
No.
The way it was written.
Holy crap.
It was so pretentious. And Jake seems to think by using the word pretentious makes us sound pretentious.
Oh no, it's a wormhole of pretension.
We're caught in a vortex of pretentiousness now.
This book is about drama, deceit, betrayal,
beyond.
It's all these things and more.
All right, do you actually want me to torment our audience with some of this?
Our audience is not going to understand just how pretentious this book is.
Well, okay, the problem is the book's got something like 6 introductions, and before it finally gets to the flippin' point.
It's a lot of preludes and prologues and pray poems.
All right, picture this. I believe what we're looking at here is Star Wars fan fiction.
Okay.
That this chick, she's way off in the future of Earth, and I guess I love this idea actually that the Jedi Order, fictional Jedi Order, became a religion and then turned into like 2 different factions, like 1,000 years in the future.
You've already lost me. Oh my God.
It's possible. All right, this book is about this chick. She's got like an alter ego. She's a futuristic Jedi Knight called K-Blade,
who's a race car driver.
And she's also a race car driver. She's a lesbian. There's like a lot of sex in this book.
Oh my God.
Now, you're probably thinking, okay, Chris, what's the downside? But, all right, it's all written like this.
Okay, yeah.
Yet my love for one, my absolute love, my passion, it's what drives me, what keeps me alive, and what gives me the will and desire to succeed. Without it, there would have been no victory, no Zan alliance, and no free society, but instead the dark forces of evil reigning across the face of our entire society as we know it. There is only my sweet love, my only passion. Through my passion for her, I gain strength. You hear the Jedi talk going on in here?
Crap.
Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I am victorious. Oh, wait, that's starting to sound like Sithy stuff to me.
Oh, yeah.
She gives me purpose and direction. My love for her, and in return, hers for me, is unparalleled. All right, there's like, oh my God, these big sweeping.
It sounds like someone is pretending to be Shakespearean almost. My love doth thou see in many eyes.
We got 4 pages in, and we're like, no, I can't do it.
Do I have more examples in there of the dialogue? I really want to provide more.
When I saw her after so long, for the first time in a very long time, I found myself wanting my revenge. I wanted a simple revenge. However, my better half wanted something beyond that. In appeasing her demands, it brought out a most unsettling, I think that's unsettling, part of me, knowing that a person capable of making both my better half and I feel this way was tied directly to my yearning toward our road to vengeance.
Holy crap. I feel like I'm getting punched in the face by words. The one whom I love most dearly would unleash her most darkest secrets. Vengeance I never thought capable from her. I thought I knew her well. I was wrong. Her method, dark, twisted, worse than the most extreme of tortures. The death itself. Yet, truly on par with my own reasoning in dealing with such monster of a being. For all her past atrocities committed, in the end she will become nothing more than a soul trapped in a prison of her own flesh, incapable of even wishing her own death, let alone think. Death incarnate, as she had become known as, will unquestionably meet her match, but only after she discovers the truth about who we both really are. Soon Khalezin or not, I've always been a rebel, a rogue. It's who I am and what defines me, and nothing can ever change that.
Stop.
This is my story.
You're killing me.
Sorry.
Alright. Now, this book, I went through it, I did read more. It's extremely long. For an independent published book, it's like 120,000 words. It's quite long.
Well, yeah.
I found it distasteful because it talks about rape a lot, and it treats rape scenes like was sort of, I don't know, with a tone that I didn't appreciate. And there's torture, and then the dialogue is real stilted.
It's just trying way too hard. It's written so dramatically. It's constantly dialed up to 11. It needs to be taken down to an 8, at least.
I'd like to summarize, though, and say, Miss Kixie Reiki has written a series of these books. I think there is a section of people who would actually enjoy them quite a bit.
I'm sure plenty of people would love this.
And here's another thing. She's actually... I think she's like 9/10 of the way to being a really good writer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just think if she calms down a little bit.
She takes her own writing is like, for my taste, it takes itself way too seriously.
Sure.
Like you said, dial it back a little bit.
Yeah.
But
take some Xanax. And
she's got a very, I don't know, she's got a very compelling way of writing, and hey, I don't know if the idea of rapey, tortury, futuristic lesbian space Jedi
racers
having tons and tons of three-way sex, it sounds like good to you, and it's absolutely mind-bogglingly confusing. Go for it. There are these books out here.
All right.
Without being unfair to the author, I think, given the right circumstances, she could write a fantastic book.
Oh yeah, she'd kick ass. 100%.
How does this relate to our point? Like, is it trying? Are we saying don't try too hard?
Don't try too hard to be interesting.
Like, don't purposely put more and more crap in your book to be interesting. I think it may be an experience thing. Like, you don't know you're trying too hard until you get a few people saying, I actually couldn't make it past the first 4 pages. I would like to say then, in final, is that if you do write over the top, don't be surprised when people call you on it.
Of course, okay.
And it does not work for everybody. I don't like it.
Therefore, I say we jump into our other thing.
Our main book of the week.
Into the other. It's funny, that's a weird segue. By Livian Gray, which is our example of a book that is on the other side of the spectrum. It isn't trying hard enough to be interesting. It theoretically should be interesting, but it really isn't.
It has so many interesting ingredients, so many interesting possibilities, but we could not finish this book either.
We got far into it.
We got really pretty far into it, but
you did finish it.
So dull, and we finished Insurrection.
Yeah.
So that is saying something. I did finally go through and read the rest of it because I'm like, we're going to talk about the book on the show this week. I've got to get to the end of this book.
So, like, if we only got 4 pages into Deceit and Betrayal, we got like a good 3/4 of the way through before we basically sped read through the rest.
Yeah, I just had to rush through it, and we're going to tell you why. Livian Gray, I think, in a different way from Kixie Reiki, I think she's also potentially a very good writer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think she's got it in her.
Livian Gray is a long-term writer of various genres, including drama and horror. Admonished by her teachers for daydreaming in class, she vowed to prove this would one day pay off by becoming a published author.
After spending 3 years at university to finish her Bachelor of Arts in Writing, Livian was eventually stuck in a menial office job, but still managed to get some writing done in her spare time, going on to finish 6 works that have since been self-published. Now situated in Perth with her partner, she continues to write for fun and hopes to keep refining her skills as an author. And maybe we can, drum up a little business for her.
Sure,
Who
sure.
knows? She sounds like a lot of people.
Sure.
You get your Bachelor of Arts in writing and then find out that there are actually not any jobs out there.
Yeah.
So you go work in an office.
Oh, man.
And that's where you stay and you write when you can. That's what I bet you 90% of us are doing.
So, in this example of one of Livy and Gray's books, I'm going to say the plot synopsis, helpfully provided by Amazon.
Alright, here we go.
Alright. Faced with imprisonment for murder, a young woman named Josie encounters a strange and malignant man known as Calder, who offers her a way out at a high price. She must give him her firstborn baby. Agreeing under duress, Josie later attempts to renege on the deal, but Calder eventually returns to take what he claims is rightfully his. Josie moves on, struggling to come to terms with Calder's machinations. Meanwhile, her child is raised by Calder on the boundary to another realm known as the Other, a beautiful but deadly place for those who are not from there. A twist of fate has Josie believing she may have bested Calder at last. However, he refuses to let her have her way when he returns to present her with a newer, more harrowing choice. I don't know why it has a little dash there.
There's some interesting little grammatical errors and stuff in this. Hey folks, here's a pointer. When your synopsis for your book and you need to put it on Smashwords or Amazon,
Yeah.
that should be the thing you are the most careful about editing.
It's like spell checking, right?
Yeah,
right.
and
like it's the first thing people see, and yeah, exactly.
This one's not bad. It's a fair synopsis of the story, but it's written a little. There's some clumsy writing in here, like a beautiful but deadly place for those who are not from there. There's better ways to say that.
Sure.
And in fact, all you have to do is say a beautiful but deadly place.
Yeah.
Josie, young woman, 22, 23 years old, has just watched her abusive fiancé fall to his death down a staircase. Almost at once, we are taken to the police station where she's being questioned about his death.
Right.
For some reason, Josie believes that they are going to call it murder. All right, now she would be questioned. Yes, but she says in the book, this is a diminutive, pregnant woman, and he was slapping her, and she was screaming. The neighbors heard it, and he fell down the stairs. He fell. Even if she had pushed him, it's still self-defense.
Yeah, it's self-defense.
And he falls down a short flight of stairs and breaks his neck.
She might be charged for manslaughter.
Maybe manslaughter.
She's sitting alone at an interview table, right where actually Amber was, I think, in the last book.
Oh my God! Maybe they were in side-by-side interview rooms.
So Josie, she's in the interview room alone, and then all of a sudden, the G-Man comes.
He's like, I can make all this go away if you give me your baby.
So he's like, you'll be a free woman, but I want your baby.
All right, now I love this idea. It's fairy tale. I love it when fairy tales are sort of transported into modern day.
What makes you say it's a fairy tale?
It's Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh.
Rumpelstiltskin, the story of the little evil troll who told the princess, I will help you, but you got to give me your baby when she's born.
Oh, okay.
Josie's like, hell no, I'm not going to give you my baby. And he says, oh, yes, you are. And then lays out this business like he's got the power to make them convict her of murder. And if she goes to prison, then who knows what's going to happen to her baby. And then finally, he says, Josie, I've been helping you all your life, and you owe me.
Josie didn't recognize this man. Neither his presence nor his appearance evoked a memory of him. When have you ever helped me? The first time was many years ago, when you were a child running away from those bullies who terrorized you because you were so odd to them. You remember the last time they chased you through the woods, don't you? The gust of wind and the branches falling on them. They never bothered you again after that, did they? That was a storm, she said dully, recalling the event without much delay. That terrifying incident hadn't left her memory. So I'm already like, wait, you just threw some sticks at some guys who were chasing me in the woods?
You threw sticks at a bully. No, tell him about the other one, too.
Okay. So like, already he's like...
that's the first thing he did for her.
I stopped some bullies from chasing you. And she's like, okay. So then he's like, but wait, there's more. You were 16, remember? You and your friends put those firecrackers in Mr. Garvey's letterbox. That wasn't my idea, but you played along. And you and those fools you hung out with were very nearly caught. You shouldn't have gotten away with it, yet you did, thanks to me.
Okay.
We just had good timing! Timing... I want to read this last part and then we
please
can
go ahead.
Okay.
All right.
Timing had nothing to do with it, Josie. As I told you, I can manipulate many things, including minds. Mr. Garvey saw you, and he recognized you, along with that weedy boy, Jason, and the burgeoning criminal, Malcolm. He was on the phone to the police right when I happened by and made him lose his focus.
What a guy.
That's it!
These are the two things he's done for her, and he expects her to be like, wow, thank you. All right, so thank you. He says, you've been taking your luck for granted. I don't know what luck he's talking about, because she's like a young, pregnant woman in an abusive relationship. She doesn't have any money or anything. I like the examples you give here of things that he might have done. This guy can't just show up now and say, you owe me a baby.
Because of, like, these two things.
He needed to be around all her life.
Yeah.
We think, first of all, this guy should have been a presence in her life for years now. And, Jake, take it away.
All right. Even if Calder is telling the truth, seriously, he dropped some sticks on some bullies and made people forget about an explosive prank? Some savior. I doubt she'd barely get any juvie for that. Hey, remember when the doctor said you would never be able to walk again and I healed you?
Hey, remember when I let you win the lottery?
Hey, remember when I got you decent seats for the Bon Jovi concert?
Wow.
Oh my god.
John is so cute.
So cute.
If I were Calder, I'd talk to her more like I were doing her a favor. Like, hey, Josie, you're not well off enough to take care of a child. You're poor. You've got a felony charge coming your way. You won't win a thing. They'll take your kid away. How about I take her instead? I'll raise her properly. But there's no relationship here. Calder just pops in and says, well, if you don't want to go to jail, give me your baby. Okay, so what Calder does is he, like, bullies her basically into saying, fine, you can have my baby when it's born.
Oh, and that's another thing. Like she says, I don't know if I want to give you my baby, but then Calder, then she also says, dude, I'm not sure if I'm going to be charged for murder. And then instead of Calder, coming to her all intelligent like, he instead says, oh yeah, well, I'll make them charge you for murder. You bitch. I'll make sure that they lock you up and take away your baby. So now you have no choice but to take my offer, huh?
Well, she's...
At that point, why even show up to her at all? Why even do that? Just later on in her life, when the baby's born, just take it. You may as well not even talk to her.
He says, like, more times than I care to count in this book that he's teaching her a lesson.
What does he care?
I have no idea what lesson it is.
And that's not because we haven't read the book. We've skimmed the book. We know what happened.
No, I did read it all the way to the end, just quickly.
Right.
So...
Please go on.
Josie gets out of prison. Another man is blamed for Brent's death, and it's okay because he was already guilty of another crime.
Oh,
so
thank goodness. Yeah.
I personally thought the book would have been a lot more interesting if Josie had been guilty of murder. I would have been like, or she needed to know Calder for a long time. He needed to come in and she's like, oh God, not you again. And he'd say...
Wow.
Yeah, it's time to talk about that little thing we talked about. She's like, okay, I'm just gonna tell this guy he can have my baby, and then I'm gonna run away and hide.
And then she hopes by running away, and she has like 9 months before her baby's due. So she thinks maybe in those 9 months I could do some research and figure out how to stop
Yeah, oh yeah, she really does some great research.
Yeah, really digs in.
So she runs.
Josie
and then
flees to Huntington.
Okay, then the book suddenly turns into a Nicholas Sparks novel. And it's a Nicholas Sparks novel for a long time.
Yeah.
In that
she's rescued in Huntington, where she's given lots of stuff.
Oh my god. All right. No, I have to detail this.
Yeah.
She gets to town on a bus. She's bought a ticket, like with the last of her money almost. She bought a ticket to as far as the bus could take her,
oh my God.
Which is such a cliche. She shows up in Huntington, and almost immediately, a handsome guy in a pickup truck offers her a ride. And, what's got you all the way out here? The guy asked. Nothing special. I'm just headed to that motel up the road. Not sure how long I'll be in town. You won't have any luck getting a room there, he said with a chuckle. No vacancies, no proprietor, no business. It shut down a month ago. Hasn't been taken over since. Damn it, she muttered. I know a woman in town who's renting out a place fairly cheap.
Wow.
All right, so
this is immediately when she gets into town.
She gets, in 24 hours, a boyfriend, a house to live in for cheap, a job at a bar, and her new landlord says, I know some people who are looking to sell some used baby furniture for a real good price.
Holy crap.
Anything she could need, it just
boom
falls into her lap.
And you might be saying, oh, well, just because she meets this guy on the side of the road, that doesn't make him her boyfriend.
Oh, no, it does, though.
Come on, what are you saying? Like, in a book, if your main heroine meets a nice, handsome savior man who's willing to help her out and be her buddy chum. All right, yeah, probably.
Well, within like a week, she's moved in with him or something. She's like, I'm scared. She doesn't tell him what's
about the Calder
because that would sound insane.
Can we take a moment to discuss some of the friends that she makes?
I guess.
I think it's important for later on.
Lacey.
So she meets Lacey, who's like another gal she works at a tavern, basically. She goes in and this guy's, well, if you could pour a drink without spilling the suds, you can get a job. And then
easiest job interview ever.
Yeah, seriously. And then she meets Lacey, and Lacey's her bestie. I'm almost surprised that Josie doesn't get a gay best friend.
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
Yeah. And Lacey's basically just the buddy who has no problems of her own, and she just talks about all Josie all the time.
She's a sounding board for Josie to tell us what we already know.
Yeah. So as she's settling in this small town, Josie does some pretty laughable things to keep Calder away from her not-born baby.
She does research online on...
She, looks up online how to stop Satan deal.
Yeah, and she does some junk like if you watched a vampire movie and then tried to rig your house to protect yourself from vampires and you had garlic up and...
I was thinking
crosses.
Okay, is she going to have her baby at this house, and all of these wards were supposed to keep Calder away from the house? No. Later on, she has the baby in the hospital, and so I'm like, no. Calder's just gonna go to the hospital. Like any single time your baby leaves the goddamn house, he's just gonna get taken. But hold on, let me back up just a little bit. She's putting up on her house like garlic cloves and sage and weird incantations.
Yeah, she's cleansing the house of evil spirits.
Voodoo magic. I'm like, lady, how do you have any notion that this is going to help against Calder? She needs to do a lot better research. She has 9 months of research to do.
All right, but what research?
She gets no help from anybody.
How do you research this?
I think if I were her, I would research, see if other people have been in this similar situation, because has Josie been the only one in the world to have a deal with a guy like this? so she can look up online. Hey, has anyone made a deal with a guy named Calder?
That's interesting. See, that is another way that the book kind of fails us. Is that, you know, Josie's got to save her baby now, and what does she do? She Googles a few things
about vampires,
about how to, you know, keep evil spirits out of your house, which isn't even helpful.
That's not helpful at all.
That's not, because she's not, like you said, she's not having her baby in her house.
Yeah, and so it's
and then she moves into a different house.
Yeah. All right. So I would be looking up. Hey, has anyone else made a deal with the devil? Has anyone else had a trade, bargain with a mysterious man?
There's got to be people out there.
Yeah. Josie's the only one.
I don't...
Josie never even tries anything like that. And plus, she doesn't get anyone's help. She doesn't tell Nick about this. She doesn't need to tell Nick that she made a deal with someone magical. All she needs to do is say, hey, Nick, someone might be coming after my ass.
No, she does.
Oh, she does. Okay,
she says she's afraid of the man coming after the baby.
Okay, all right.
And he assumes she's talking about Brent.
Okay.
He does not know that Brent is dead.
Okay. Got it.
But, folks, pretty much what we're saying is, at any point in this book when you think something interesting could happen, it doesn't. It just... Josie half-asses everything.
Yep. Josie spends a whole 9 months in this town.
Half-assing it.
Yeah. Before, oh,
she has her baby.
Her baby's due. As soon as Josie has her baby at the hospital, Calder, well, guess what? He comes and takes it.
He takes her baby.
Yeah.
He replaces it.
Yeah, but so Josie can't just walk out of the hospital without a baby. Imagine how confusing it would be for Nick and company.
Oh, yeah, even though Calder can make people think...
whatever.
He can make them forget.
So he's like, I'm basically throwing you a bone. Here, have this other baby. Have backup baby. This baby was not wanted by anyone. You'll take care of him. And then I'm just sitting here like, okay, well then why didn't you just take the unwanted baby? Come on.
Well, Josie asks him that. She's like, well, why don't you take the unwanted baby? And Calder says, that would not teach you a lesson. See, it's again, with he's like,
lessons.
He, for some reason, and there's no indication why, he is dead set on making Josie miserable.
If this is not...
Would be great to know why.
This is not smart business practice for this guy. If you take a baby away from someone, you've got a lot of people out for vengeance. Not just the mom, but the daughter too. The daughter's gonna be like, hey, what? Oh, sorry, kid. The kid's gonna be like, what, you took me away from my parents, bitch? And he's like, yes. And then so you've got tons of people out for vengeance. But if you rescue an unwanted baby, you're all of a sudden a hero. You're a saint. Calder...
But that's exactly the point. It's like every time anything seems more logical or whatever, the author is like, she keeps pulling us back into this story, and I feel sometimes, like, even in the book, I feel the story trying to pull away from her, and she keeps reining it back in and reining it back in, because the characters, they say things like this. They say, why don't we? Why don't you?
Why don't
blah?
And then
there's always some reason why. Well, no.
I'm tired.
It's not going to teach you a lesson.
Oh my God.
And I feel as if maybe Miss Gray needed to listen to her book a little better to see what it was trying to do. So Josie's given a baby that is not hers, and she's heartbroken, but she goes back to Nick and to her friends with this it's a boy. She's given a boy. She had a girl. Calder takes her daughter and leaves her with this baby boy. She has to raise as her own. And then, boom, 16 years later. Underground Book Club will be back after this important message.
Hello, this is Pennant Tierbright, proud estate title holder of Tierbright's Enchanted Castle. I am the sole proprietor of all magic casted to maintain the Tierbright ritualistic conjurations, and I am here to tell you about a deal of an elven lifetime. If you need a great place to start your business, Tierbright's Enchanted Castle has a crypt, dungeon, or ballroom for you. With the Ring of Endless Keys, I can open literal portals to magical rooms designed around my psychic specifications. For a reasonable monthly fee and negotiable amounts of stock or shares in your corporation, one of these roomcraft perks can be yours. You may have heard of some of the businesses we posted over the years, such as DeadX, Mog World Standard, CL Colin and Layla, Saladin Paladin, and the Underground Book Club. Drop by for your chance to be a part of our multi-dimensional business venture. We advertise and reward. And please, don't mind Mort. I'm still not sure how he managed to successfully operate the box of Starjamming Communications. And remember, here at Tear Bright's Enchanted Castle, you don't even need an intelligence score to be a business elemental.
Tear Bright's Enchanted Castle is not responsible for the total party kills within property ground. Contact your local cleric before stepping in around or near Tear Bright's Enchanted Castle. Long-term exposure to the Ring of Endless Keys to unknown results, dimensional displacement, the accidental creation of portals to horrible monsters, is a risk factor that all agreed to consider like first base within the castle. All divination and chronic core abjuration magic is processed into the detective prism before contact with the material world. Always
We now return to Underground Book Club.
Okay, now let me just say, 16 years is a long
It's a long time.
That's a big-ass time.
It's a chunk of change.
We need to talk about what happened in this 16-year time jump for Josie.
Nothing happened.
Basically, her son grows up, and he's got emotions now. Otherwise, nothing.
Her job doesn't change.
Her job doesn't, yeah.
Her relationships haven't changed. Nick is still involved in the same business deals he was involved in 16 years before. Here's what this reminds me of. On soap operas,
Yeah.
they love pregnancies and they love births.
Right.
Soap opera characters are always having babies, but babies are boring.
Yeah.
Once a kid is born, they are not interesting till they hit puberty. And so on soap operas, a lot of times you will have a child who goes from being a baby to being 16 years old in about 4 years. So they grow them up super fast.
They're like test tube babies.
Oh my god, so that they can have like sexy adventures.
Right.
And that's what this is like.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed,
Josie, man,
but we've zoomed 16 years into the future. There's not even a change in the scenery. Like, technology hasn't changed.
Yeah, and like you would think, even so, like her friend Lacey may have moved on and done something else.
No,
But Lacey's there
everything
too.
is exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's just now Sean, the boy, and Rala, her daughter, are 16.
Yeah. So like, but one more thing though, it's like Josie, is her relationship with Nick any different? Well,
No.
It's like they're roommates. They're not lovers. We don't even see them kiss.
They are involved. They're lovers. I mean, they are, but we don't see it.
Are they married?
No.
No. Okay.
Josie won't marry him. Josie, like, this kind of makes sense in the fact that Josie can't move forward because she's so guilt-stricken about her child. But you would think everybody else could move forward, or at least the world would move forward.
And you know, let's take a minute to talk about Nick. This Nick guy, he's probably the best character in the book. He is nice, he's cool, he's a handyman. I mean, he's the voice of reason. And so he makes all the logical, emotionally rational decisions. He deserves a better woman than Josie.
He deserves a better woman than Josie. I agree with you.
Josie is the wettest blanket.
Then we're about to run headlong into another series of insanity. And then after we do that, I'm going to suggest we stop talking because spoilers.
Yeah.
All right, but look, 16 years later, Rala's with Calder, and they're living in the other.
I think we should talk about Seth first, and then Rala.
Seth, the 16-year-old boy she's been raising, he's mean, he's upset. All right, because Josie has not been a great mom to him.
No.
She's distant. She, cares for him. She doesn't abuse him or anything, but he always feels an emotional distance.
Yeah, like, she kind of treats him with the minimum amount of motherly
he says
fondness.
He says she treats him more like a roommate than a son.
That's sad, man.
It is sad.
Okay.
And Nick is he's trying real hard to be a father to this kid. All right. Now, can we talk about Rala and Calder?
Yes, we could talk about Rala and Calder.
They're over in the Other, which all I can tell you is like a parallel dimension where human biology doesn't quite work.
It's a land of pillows and mattresses and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not even kidding. Like, that's
and
how
butterflies, I guess. All right.
It's like Wonderland, Bed Bath and Beyond.
Calder took a human child over there because he wanted to teach a human child his magic. But he's a dick to Rala all the time, and they flippin' hate each other. She can't learn his magic. He can't understand why she's so difficult.
It seems like Calder wanted to raise a protege, and so he wanted to take a baby, but instead he had to go about it in the most sinister way possible.
Yeah, I know.
And Calder, it's like Calder.
We've already talked about how little sense this makes.
If Calder wants a protege, he shouldn't treat her like crap.
That there's a father figure and a daughter figure alone in this cabin in another dimension for 16 years, and we get nothing between them. Again, you want in a story like this there to be unexpected emotions. Like Calder suddenly discovers he's grown to love this child.
Yeah.
Or Rala can't understand why the father that she adores is always so disappointed with her.
She dreams of going to the concrete, which is what they call our world.
Yeah.
And so she dreams of that, and then she asks Dad, what of the concrete, Father? And he's like, you're not powerful enough to do that. Go eat your beans. And then she's like, storms off.
It doesn't make sense. They act like a couple people who have been forced to share a cubicle at work, and they don't like each other. Rala is going to escape. All right, we're about done with describing this. She escapes with the help of a butterfly. Read the book if you want to find out what that's all about. It's not nearly as interesting as you think it's going to be.
And then, it continues from there.
On the same day, Rala escapes the Other. Seth, thanks to a dumbass mistake Josie makes, Seth discovers that Josie's not his real mother. And Nick and Seth go to Josie and they're like, Josie, what the hell? And she's like, oh my God, here's what happened. And spills it all out. On the same day Rala comes to the concrete, Seth storms out of the house in fury, takes Nick's truck, goes off driving, and who should he bump into on the road but Rala?
Wow.
And he takes her home with him, and all the emotional outpouring that you expect is going to happen between Josie and Rala doesn't. But
really?
That's...
Well, she's like, hey, how's it going?
We'll just chalk that up to shock.
It has...
Let's stop telling the plot, because now we're about halfway through the book. And there's more that's going to happen, and
God.
I am not saying the story is without value, but it'll just make you gnash your teeth with frustration, because there is so much here that could be really interesting.
It's time for us to really dig into why the story is so dull. Let's take it from the top.
All right, are we going to trade?
What can it do to be more interesting? Point number one, dull setup. No connection with our main character, Josie. Do you think this is accurate?
No, I didn't feel any connection to her.
How could we have?
Everything happens to her.
Yeah.
She doesn't take actions of her own that are she flees, she's persecuted.
She experiences the story.
Things
basically
happen for her.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to see her have to actually try to do something.
The only real thing that she tries to do is she goes in the library and looks up how to stop vampires.
Yeah, half-assing it.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen this be, for her, like a real eye-opener of some sort.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would have been more interested if she actually had killed someone.
She's a flat character. That doesn't.
But
she doesn't change.
That's not. If that's not sympathetic, if we don't want her to be a killer, then something else. It didn't...
Like, she grows from worried woman who's really worried to a lady who's really worried about other things now.
Oh no, she's pretty much worried about the same thing.
yeah.
All right, so a dull conflict. Calder is a terrible villain with no.
His
master plan.
His entire deal is just dumb. He has a dumb. So basically, he's just taking a baby to raise her to be an apprentice. Basically, I mean, there's no. Why does he need to teach Josie a lesson in that regard? Does he get his power from lessons?
Why does he pick on Josie? There is never any indication of Josie being special to him.
If it was like prophesized to Calder that, hey, this Josie lady, she's gonna have a magic baby. You need to hold on. She's gonna have a magic baby. You need to go swipe her up. Literally, like Calder, I don't think he'd be talking to Josie. I think literally, like, she's just in the hospital and he just whoop baby swaps.
I made that noise because you know how much I hate prophecy books. I don't like prophecies. I think that is a huge literary cheat.
Calder could be walking down the street and suddenly his spidey sense goes off that all of a sudden, oh, Josie's baby, he's great. It's like Rosemary's Baby.
No, I think there needed to be something deeper here, like some actual relationship between the two of them.
Oh, yeah.
Something, all right. But I've said all this, so let's just move on.
She has a dull, mediocre life. After 16 years, Josie's life is exactly
dull, mediocre life.
Dull. It's all just like she doesn't do anything, and Josie's just stagnant. Her life is very stagnant. It's why do we want to read about this? It's so boring. There's dull emotional conflict. Josie, Nick, Seth, and Rala might talk big game, but when it comes to their actions, they barely do a thing. Rala does more, but Josie, Nick, and Seth, they don't do a crap.
We have here in our notes, dull climax, ? I'm not going to tell you how the book ends.
Yeah.
What I will say is that it is ultimately unsatisfying.
Easy?
It's way too easy.
Yeah.
Nobody has to... It doesn't feel to me like anybody has to work for it or sacrifice.
You want your book to be interesting, or else people will just give up and go watch Dark on Netflix or something.
Oh yeah, do watch Dark.
Oh yeah,
my
watch Dark.
God,
Yeah, it's really good.
So good.
Crazy good.
In fact, let's go watch Dark right now.
Wait, no. And listener, don't go do that.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so maybe these won't interest everyone, but with a few revisions, you can really spice up your narrative and spark the interest of the ones who are hungry for your specific flavor of content.
Oh my God.
But just don't make it too spicy.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
Or it'll become inedible.
I don't know, Jake. I think spicy sells.
Okay.
Alright. So here's my advice.
Yeah, advice.
And just speaking as someone who has written boring books before, what I've learned to do is when I have my readers read the book, I ask them when it's done, I say, is there anything that you wanted to happen in this book that did not happen?
Oh, yeah.
If I had been talking to Ms. Gray about this book, and she had said, is there anything that you wanted to happen that didn't happen? I would have had a lengthy list for her.
Like?
I would have started out by saying, I love the fairy tale element. I just love it.
More Rumpelstiltskin.
Now go for it.
Yeah,
Make it magical. Bring the magic into it. Ask your readers, am I like hinting at things that make you want to see something?
I would have,
and you don't get it.
I would have told this author, I'm like, lady, this can't be the first time a man like Calder has taken someone into the other. Like the title says, into the other. I wanted Josie to meet other people who have lost their children.
There you go. There's something that could have happened. I wanted Josie to refuse to give him her baby. And I mean, even at the risk of going to prison, she doesn't know this guy.
No, she doesn't know him.
He basically pulls a couple of tricks out of his ass, and she's like, oh my God, he must be a devil or something.
I wanted Nick to maybe take on maybe not like an action hero kind of role, but I wanted him to be like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
There could have been a very interesting relationship between Josie and Nick in that they are in love actually a kind of sexy relationship that Josie doesn't feel she deserves.
Oh, man.
So she pulls away from it. I mean, I don't know. I know that's getting back into Nicholas Sparks territory, but it's better than basically what they do to each other, which is, are you gonna get the truck fixed? Yeah. Why don't you talk to Seth? Seth is mad at me right now. I don't know. That's not actual dialogue, but it all felt like that to me. I wanted to mention also that for a book where everybody half-asses it so much, everything still happens way too easily. Honestly, it's like at the beginning of the day they'd say, man, how am I going to get to the end of the day without $10,000 for bail money? And somehow $10,000 would show up.
If it were this book and Josie asked that, Nick would probably say, actually, I have a safe in the basement where I keep $11,000.
He's like, I was going to use that to have somebody write a screenplay out of my book, but no.
See, that would have been more interesting.
Yeah,
Also,
it's like everything's so convenient and easy.
Here's another thing to make your book more interesting. Can Josie have more freaking interests than just her baby? I know it's hard for a woman to recover after something like that.
Losing a baby would be
more
horrible, and this is a horrible situation.
Sure.
But you know what? The way this is written, it doesn't feel like a horrible situation.
Yeah, this lady doesn't feel
It feels like we just want Josie to just quit her bitching, and
yeah,
I don't know. That's how unconnected we are with her.
There's another way I would recommend. This would be a much larger change for the book in general, but I would say maybe try out an experiment with a perspective shift. Maybe go to like first person present. I think first person is always good. If you're dealing with someone's emotional struggle, first person is a lot more emotionally resonant than third.
Yes, but third person is perfectly legit way to write a book.
Sure. This is like third person, like way away from
the distance is the problem.
Yeah,
it's not the person it's written in. It's
if you're imagining third person, imagine like you're looking at Sim City third person.
Yeah, it's like a helicopter view of the story.
Person.
On the plus side, Ms. Gray, she has a beautiful way of writing you into a place.
Yeah, she's good at
settings. Excellent at putting you in a setting. She's good at creating a room, a mood out of her settings. I think she's a good writer. I think this book needed a second or maybe a third draft.
Yes, drafts
after she had somebody read it and tell her, good, there's stuff that could have happened that didn't, and wouldn't it have been fun if...
We don't know if this is the fourth draft or even the 20th draft, but it seems like it could have used maybe a draft or two more after she got more feedback from other people. Like, I tell you, my books are super different after I get my feedback. Good Lord,
I've had a few major changes, too.
I basically have had to rewrite every book I've ever written except for the one that was based on yours.
I remember I once had to rewrite a book because I didn't know who the killer was.
Wow.
Yeah, I wrote a book and thought the killer was one person, and I gave it to my first reader. He read it and said, that's not the killer. I'll tell you who the killer is. And I was like, oh, well, we'll be rewriting this book then.
Yeah.
Because he was right. Okay. So, I guess, are we done complaining about...
What reminds me sometimes of Stephen King. She reminds me of, the normal world meets the paranormal.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you how she reminds you of Stephen King.
Like a lady... not woman, but like a character down on their luck in a small town somewhere has encountered something
meets up
scary
with the paranormal. Okay,
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
I think that's all we got time for.
All right.
Our next episode is Revenge. We'll also talk about a short story, The Sigil of Saturn.
Yes, The Sigil of Saturn and Revenge. Hey, I have a question.
Oh, yeah.
In our first 3 episodes, we gave our writers prompts.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't do that last time.
Okay.
Do we want to
yes.
stop?
No, we got to do the prompts.
I don't know what the prompt for this episode could be.
Okay, I got it. What's the most boring book you've ever read?
tell me your Google search for trying to get rid of Calder.
Oh, yeah, your Google, yeah, how about, like, either what's the most boring book you've ever read, and what you would type into Google in order to get rid of Calder.
Yeah, so do Josie's research for her, and give us something,
A boring book.
Or a boring book.
Yeah, that'll work.
Or, to win the big prize, combine both of these things. And the big prize is my respect.